Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Maggie Simpson statue. She is the last in the Simpsons family that I have to make. She's going to end up looking a little something like this, giving a nice little 360 for us, a nice little turn. I've also made Lisa, Bart, Marge, and Homer. Links on the screen and in the description if you've not made any of those statues and you want to. However, without any further ado, let's get making Maggie, shall we? So if you want to make her, this is what you're going to need. You will need some black wool, some white wool, some dark blue, cyan, yellow wool, and finally, grab yourself some orange wool. And once you have every single one of those colours right there, and once you've figured out where you want to make her, I'm going to make her right here, you're going to want to kick off your Maggie statue with a row of 8 cyan in a row on the floor. That's 8 cyan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just like that. And that is the base of our Maggie statue. So once you've got that row of 8 cyan, this is what you want to do for the next 2 rows. So starting from the left hand side of the row that we've just made, coming into the right, you want to do this sequence of blocks. Do 3 cyan, 1, 2, 3, followed by 1 dark blue wool, then make the entire rest of the row cyan. And you want to do that for 2 rows. So once you've done that to 1 row, do the exact same thing to the row just above it, like that. And once you've done those 2 rows, you then want to do 9 solid rows of cyan wool. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I always like to count those out before I fill them in, make sure that I'm doing the right amount of rows. We've just got to fill them in now. Bit of a tedious process, but we have to do it. And once you have your 9 rows of cyan wool, which we almost do, there we go. Once you've done your 9 rows of cyan wool, you've actually fully completed the front of your Maggie statue. I know, not very complicated, is it? Once you've got that taken care of, we can now move on to the back. So come all the way to the back of your Maggie statue. You see how we have this rectangular shape here? Well, basically you want to take each one of the 4 corners of your rectangular shape, and you want to do 4 sets of 3 rows of cyan coming back from each one of the corners, going towards where the back of the statue is going to be, which sounds complicated, but this is what you want to do. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And once you have your 4 rows of 3, so you've kind of got like a table that's been knocked over shape, you then want to connect each one of those third blocks together, just going around in a nice rectangular shape, like this. So just connect each one of those third blocks together like this to make a nice 3D rectangular shape. And once you've formed this rectangular shape, you then want to go ahead and fill in each one of the 4 faces of your rectangle. So I'm just going to do that for myself now. Won't take too long, but it does take a little bit of time. Just about filled it in. You only have to fill in the 3 sides. You don't have to actually fill in the top because the head will do most of the work. You don't have to fill in this bit up here, but the left and right hand side and the back you do have to fill in. And what you want to end up with is something that should look exactly like this. Easy enough, right? Good. Once you've got that taken care of, you then want to be on the back of your statue, the side that's completely cyan, and you want to come down to the bottom of this side. You're going to want to take this bottom row at the back of your statue, and you want to extend this bottom row out of the back of your statue by 4 rows, like this. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that. So just to give you guys a side view, coming out of the back of the statue, have 4 rows of cyan popping out of the back, like that. And once you've got those 4 single rows, you then want to stack another 4 rows of cyan on top of your 4 rows. So you just want to have like 2 sets of 4 rows coming out of the back of your statue, like this, to kind of form like a J shape. Once you've done that, you then want to have a few more rows coming out of the back that you've just extended. So you now want to extend 2 rows of 6 cyan wool coming out of the back of the part that you've just extended, if you guys can see what I've done there. So extending out of that bottom row, you just want to have 2 rows of 6, just knock one off of each end of the previous row, just coming out of the back of the statue. And what it wants to end up like is something that should look exactly like this. So just to give you guys a top-back view, and now to give you guys a side view. There you go, it's fairly simple. It's just Maggie's onesie. It's basically just trailing around behind her. You guys know how it does. Once you've got that taken care of, we can now move on to Maggie's arms. So we can really start this on any side of your statue, but I'm starting on this side. So come all the way over to whatever side of your statue and come all the way up to the top of the side. Starting from this left and right hand block, we've got to do it for both of them. You want to do a row of 5 cyan coming down in front of the side of your statue like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 directly to the right of it like so. And once you have your 2 rows of 5 cyan, you then want to do just 2 single yellow wool underneath your 2 rows of cyan like this. And once you've done that once you have just 1 row sticking out of the side of your statue, you then just want to add yet another row just poking out of the side like this. So what you want to end up with is something that should look exactly like this, and that is just Maggie's arm. Very easy. And once you've done that on one side, you want to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So coming to this side now, starting from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 directly to the right of it. 2 yellow underneath, and then you just want to extend it out by 1 further row to give you the exact same thing, and those are both of Maggie's arms. Easy enough to do, right? Fantastic. Once you've got both of the arms done, we can now move on to Maggie's head. So come all the way to the front of your statue and come all the way up to the top of your statue as well. Take out your yellow wool and place a row of 8 yellow wool directly on top of that top row of Maggie's torso. So on this most outward row of cyan, place a row of 8 yellow wool like this. Once you've placed that first row, place 2 additional rows directly in front of that first row, like that. This second layer of yellow wool here is the first row of Maggie's face. We're now going to start building upwards. So on top of this most outward row, do 2 rows of 8 yellow wool going directly up, like this, to give you 3 rows of yellow wool in total. For the next row on top of that second row of yellow, do 2 yellow wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then do white wool everywhere else. For the next row, going from left to right, do 1 white, 1 black, 1 white, 2 yellow, 1 white, 1 black, 1 white. For the next row, place 2 yellow in the 2 center spots of the row, and then just place white wool everywhere else. For the next row, going from left to right, do 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 black, 2 yellow, 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 black. And for the final row of Maggie's currently creepy face, do an entire row of yellow wool to give you something which should look exactly like this. That is creepy, just like Lisa. Very, very creepy without the nose, and the mouth, and the pacifier. That's what you want to have so far for Maggie's face. Once you've got that taken care of, we can now build up the rest of the head. So, once you've got that done, come all the way around to the back of your statue, and you're looking for this first initial row of yellow wool that you placed. Take this first row and extend it all the way over the back of your statue by 2 rows with your yellow wool. So we're essentially just emulating what we did on the front of the statue. So you just want to have something which should look exactly like this. Simple enough. Once you've got those 2 overhanging rows, you then want to take each one of the 2 corners of that most back overhanging row, and you want to extend each one of the corners up until they are equal height with Maggie's face, and then you just want to connect them to Maggie's face, and you also want to connect them together as well. So you want to end up with something that should look a little bit like this. We've essentially turned Maggie's head into a big giant yellow cube, which we now have to fill in. So we're now just going to fill in Maggie's head with yellow wool, and once we've done that, we can make her significantly less creepy. We can give her all of the features that she's supposed to have. So I'm just going to continue filling this in with yellow, and once I've done that, we'll give her her hair, her ribbon, her pacifier, her nose, and then we'll be done. So just going to continue filling this in. Just got the top to do? Yep, that's what I thought. So just got to fill the top in now, and then we can do everything that I've just described. We'll probably start with the hair. We'll start with the hair because I think that's the most difficult part. So this is what you want to have so far for Maggie's head. As you can see, we've just turned it into a big giant yellow cube. Simple enough. Once you've got that taken care of, this is what you want to do next. So come all the way up to the top of Maggie's head and come all the way to the back of the head. You basically want to be in line with this back row of Maggie's head, and we're now going to move forward. So once you're on the back row, move forward by one so that you're on the second row, and do a row of 6 yellow wool in the center of that second row, like this. On the third row, do an entire row of yellow wool, so just 8 yellow wool spanning the left hand side of the head all the way over to the right, like so. For the next row, do a row of 6 yellow wool again, like this, so you want to have formed this shape. Once you've done all 3 of those rows, you then just want to stack another layer of yellow on top of each one of these 3 rows, so you just want to have this sort of shape. Once you've formed this shape, you now want to take this middle row here, and you want to stack a row of 6 on top of it like this, so it's now 1 row higher than the other 2 rows. On top of your row of 6, you want to finish it off by stacking a row of 4, so this is the shape that you want to have made. This is a front view. If an angular view will help you, there you go. Side view. And there you go, another angular. So that is exactly what you want to have on the head so far. We now want to give Maggie a little bit more hair. So let me just make sure that I'm going to be doing this correctly. And I am. Fantastic. So once you've reached this point right here, we now have to add the bit of hair that Maggie has on the side of her head. Very much like Lisa, she's got that kind of like sun thing going on. So on either side of the head, it doesn't really matter which side you start. You want to, starting from this block right here, you want to run a row of yellow wool that starts there and comes all the way down to almost the bottom of the side of the head. It wants to stop 1 block short right here. So you start your row of yellow wool here at the top, and it comes all the way down to almost the bottom of the head, like that. And once you've done that for 1 row, you want to add an additional row poking out. So you want to do 2 rows of yellow coming out of the side of the head, just like that. Once you've done those 2 rows, you now want to add a final row in the center of that second row. So you want to now have a row of 5. I apologise for that, dry throat. You now want to have a row of 5 coming out of that second row, because these 2 rows here are 2 rows of 9 yellow wool, not really relevant, but you want to have a row of 5 sticking out of that second row of 9. There you go. Once you've done that on one side of the head, you want to do the exact same thing on the opposite side of the head. So take this top block right here, do a row of yellow wool that comes almost to the bottom of the head, add another row of yellow coming out, and then add a row of yellow coming out further still, but that is smaller than those 2 initial rows of yellow. It just wants to be smaller by 2 on each side. It should be a row of 5 in the center. Once you've got that taken care of, we can now move on to the rest of Maggie. She's looking a little less creepy, but still a little too creepy for my liking. So once you've got the hair taken care of, come all the way up to the top of Maggie's head again, and you want to be on this second row of Maggie's head. So this is the first row at the front of the head, and this is the second row. Take out your cyan and do a row of 6 cyan on top of that second row, like this, just in the center, row of 6 cyan. You then want to do this, so on top of your row of cyan, place 2 cyan wool in the 2 center spots of your row of 6, cyan on each end, and then dark blue everywhere else, like that. To finish off Maggie's bow, just do 2 rows of 2 cyan on both the left and right hand sides of that row that you just placed, and that is what you want to have for Maggie's bow. Very simple. Once you've got that taken care of, we can now move on to Maggie's nose. So come all the way down to Maggie's face and place 2 yellow wool in this position right here. That is basically just the space in between the bottom of Maggie's eyes. Fairly simple. Once you've done that, we just have to do her dummy, her pacifier, whatever the hell you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. It sits just under the nose, and it is basically just 3 rows of 4 orange wool just sat underneath the nose like that. Once you've done those 3 rows, you then just want to extend out those 2 middle blocks in the center of the rectangular shape that you've just made, and you should be left with something that should look, I suppose I should be zooming in on the dummy, shouldn't I, which should look exactly like this. Once you've got that taken care of, you have actually 100% fully completed your Maggie statue. And I've got to tell you, and I've said this from the very beginning, the Maggie statue is by far my favourite statue out of the whole bunch, and no one is more surprised than I am. I don't have a special liking for Maggie, I don't think that she's a particularly good character in the series, but I do think that the statue is very well designed and most captures the likeness, there we go. English is the first language, could you believe it? She captures the... oh, coughing time again. With it, this is a bad tutorial. She captures the likeness out of... I like the statue. Is that all that... Let's cut this off here, shall we? Do you guys care what I think about the statue? She's my favourite, she really is. I really do think that this is a really nice looking statue. I really do think that she's done well. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you managed to make her. I don't think that she's so difficult. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.